This is what the Rode pod mic sounds like, and the Rode pod mic. This is what the Fifine 688 sounds like. And right here, we have the Fifine K688 right here. And this is what the Shure MV7 Plus sounds like. Right here, we have all three mics. We have the Shure MV7 Plus over here. Which sounds better? Today, I'm putting the Shure MV7 Plus to the test. XLR into a Rodecaster Pro 2 and USB-C straight into an iPhone 15 with everything in between, as well as through real podcasting, streaming, and a live call setup using StreamYard to see if it's truly the best mic compared to the others. Let's jump right in. This is the Shure MV7 Plus, and I have it hooked up via XLR cable, and it is going into a Rodecaster Pro 2. And right now I have everything off because if you weren't aware, you have options on here, sparkle, punch, it'll sound, I guess, a bit more cool, but here is what it sounds like right out of the box if you don't have something of this sort, because you can just hook this up into your phone, which we will hop into a bit. But if you had the option of something like this, this is what you will get and how it's going to actually sound. But first, I want to kind of go over a few things like how far you are away, because in some cases you have some people who are just not going to speak into the mic, and it's like, bro, I can't hear you. So here is what it looks like off on the side. So here's being right on top of the mic. Hey guys, hope you're doing good. Here's the podcast, or if you're doing something else. And then if you kind of come back, this is about a fist away from here, right? And then you just kind of come back. Hey guys, hope you're doing great on the podcast. It's like, bro, really? Wow. So now we're going to do a side test. So this is me straight looking into the actual mic if I'm speaking on a camera of some sort. So you're like this, speaking directly into it. Here's what it sounds like if you kind of move off axis, and you're going to come over to the side. I'm actually going to loosen this up so I'll just move the mic. So if you come in here, cool. As you talk, here's what is going to go on as you go. Here is 90 degrees. So if you have some people that speak into it like this, that'd be very, very interesting. And then you kind of come onto the back, and this is 180 degrees as if you are speaking into the mic. So as we come back, here is what it's going to sound like, and here is what it's going to sound like right here, and I am on it. So for me, I speak into a mic like this. I'm not directly in line with it as I'm speaking here. I'm a bit on top of it because, if you are on top of it and you blow into it, yeesh. So let's do that plosive test. So Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. And I would say you should probably do a little like this as well, because you have certain people who want to see your actual face or not. I don't know. That's all up to you. But if you are, on this, I would say yes. So now I'm actually going to take off the actual screen. Here's how it's going to sound like if you're speaking directly into the mic without anything because of the air. It's going to go into it, and then off to the side, and then over at 90 degrees. I want to see if a Rode pop filter right here will actually fit on there. I don't know why you would do something like this, but like Rode and Shure, they kind of butt heads. But here's what the Rode pod mic sounds like if you're gonna get something like this. Hold on. Let me put this back. The Rode pod mic. Pod mic. So that's how that sounds for right now. Let's see what we got here. It's a very tight fit, and I would say it looks weird, right? I don't think you would want something of this sort, but I have the K688. Hold that thought. So this is the pop filter off of a K688, but we're going to put this on, and I would say it actually looks cool-ish. I don't know, but we're going to put this on here, and it fits on there snug, right? So here's how it would look if you want that the extra plosive. Bro, there's no plosives. I think I'm gonna have to hear it. I can kind of hear it. Plosive. Bro, there's that's crazy. So now what happens if you put hands on the mic? Because people touch the mic as they're speaking. I go, bro, no, I have to fix that in post, right? They'll kind of come here and be like, hey guys, I hope you're doing great. You know, all that extra stuff, right? So that, and then we're going to hop on the arm. Cool. And then on the desk. Hey guys, hope you're doing great. You know, just boom, boom, boom. And here is how it sounds versus the Hollyland Lark 2s that I have right here. And it is into my phone via USB-C. This is going to be a fan test now because in here, guys, it gets cooking. It's like 82 degrees in here. All right, so I just turned it on the fan. So here's what, you know, it is going to do, you know, as you have your mic. I would say don't have it like that. That's going to point at the actual sound. I would have it 180 degrees, so it's not going to hear the fan. But here is how it's going to sound if you have a fan. There's a small little hair in the air that's just going. Look at this, crazy. That is why I don't turn on a fan while you're about to do certain things, because if you have like hair and all that kind of stuff, and you have on that like the AC or the fan, guys, it's going to put stuff in the air. And if you have like a expensive phone or something you're going to record on, it will actually see that and be like, oh, there's a hair in the shot, which is no good. All right, so that there was with everything off, all of the punch and all the, you know, all the extra cool stuff. I think I am in the Shure SM7B option, as in it has a lot more like sparkle and a lot more punch than the actual podcast function. So let's hop over to presets and we're going to jump into the neutral. So it just swapped over right now. So it's like, again, it's not so much of those options, right? So we're going to turn all of it off, and you can kind of hear what that actually sounds like. So let's turn that back on. Okay, swapped over. Now we're going to jump into the podcast studio. So it did kind of go up a bit. And of course, you know, you have your options of like sparkle, punch, and, you know, all that extra stuff there. So let's turn that back off. I'm speaking at a certain pace, so you know, as it switches, you can kind of hear it. So again, we are all off right now, so we're gonna hop back onto podcast studio. So now we're gonna hop over to broadcast. So like right there, here's what broadcast sounds like, and then here's what podcast studio sounds like. And then I'm going to turn all the processing off. Okay, cool. And now let's turn it back on, and this is what it's going to sound like. Right here, we have all three mics. We have the Shure MV7 Plus over here, and right here, we have the Fifine K688 right here, and the Rode pod mic. I'm actually going to pull off this screen right here. So if you don't have a screen of some sort right now, here is what it's going to actually sound like. And I have all of the processing off on these, so we can kind of, I guess, hear how they sound right out of the box, because you know, in some cases you might not have something of this sort, but I'm about to go through and we are going to hear how they actually sound with processing. If you're like, okay, cool, I want good, clean, crisp audio, here is what you will actually get, right? So let's turn all of these on. So I'm going to do the Shure MV7 Plus first. I'm on the neutral option on here. So let's come over to the Fifine 688, and we're going to do the exact same thing. And now we're going to go to the Rode pod mic. So let's come over here. So we're on the Rode pod mic, and it just switched over. I'm just going to kind of go over, and we're going to do the podcast studio here. So we're going to swap over to the podcast studio, and now we're on podcast studio. So, you know, hopefully you heard something change podcast studio. So hopefully you heard something cool. I did hear it as well in the headphones. So let's come over to the Rode mic here. So we are on the neutral option, and now we're going to come over to podcast studio and hear what that actually sounds like. I do like it. It sounds, I guess, more if you're on a show of some sort. So we're going to hop over to the Fifine 688. So we're going to take that, and we are on podcast studio. We're going to hop over to broadcast and hear what that sounds like. And guys, I think it does sound good. And like for this one right here, yes, it sounds good, but the price, woo. But it's a Shure product, so it does, it holds its value for sure, and it is quality for sure. We're gonna hop over to mic number 3, the Rode Pod mic. We are in Podcast Studio, so now we're gonna come over to Broadcast, okay? And hopefully you heard something, small bit, but not too crazy. And here is what it sounds like in the Hollyland Lark 2 right here. So I'm speaking into it pretty close. So now we're going to jump into the phone via USB-C, and then we're going to see what the actual app has to offer. So you don't have to have something like this. Here we are on the USB-C option on the actual Shure MV7 Plus, which is cool because on the Shure MV7, all you have is an XLR option. So I have it via USB-C going into my iPhone 15. And I got my headphones plugged straight into the actual mic. And I am on the actual app, which is legit. So I have all this off, right? So I have the tone, all this stuff right here, I have it off because here is what it's going to sound like with all of it off if you don't have stuff already preset. So here is what it sounds like right now as you are on their actual app, right? So you cannot actually go out and be like, okay, I want to switch things as you are speaking. It's not going to let me do all that stuff. And I was like, bro, so like you cannot change. I'm on the actual phone right now and I'm trying to press the over and all that stuff. You have to stop recording and then redo it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just put certain things on that you might want if you don't have certain things set up. Here is what it sounds like out of the actual Shure MV7 Plus with all of those EQ options I said. And it's cool because you have an option up top to do the mute option, which I would say it's smart to do that. But you have some people who touch the mic. So I would say that if you do have this option only on USB-C, you have certain people who are going to touch that. And then you guys, it's not going to come through. Oh my gosh, guys, I have had this happen because, of course, how some people sit back, they touch the mic and it was muted. Luckily, they had something else on them to hear what they did. So it's going to help whoever is in control of the audio can be like, okay, for on that short little spot, they could add in what that person said and then go. Because, guys, so this right here is a no-go if you have people who don't know what they're doing. Guys, I was tripping. Anyways, now what I'm about to do is actually turn on the actual fan I have and just kind of see and I guess hear what that will actually do compared to, having these options on the actual app on. So I'm going to turn the high pass on to 75 hertz and I'm going to record that. So I'm going to start recording right now and the fan is actually off right now. So I'm going to go turn this on. All right, so here's what it's going to sound like with the fan on. So let me have the mic towards the actual fan so you can kind of hear it. Maybe, but here's how it sounds like with the actual phone. And then as well, here is what it sounds like with the actual mic again. So, you know, if it is hot where you are, because like guys, like right now it's like 80 in here. So now I'm going to up that and do the other option right here. So here is what the 150 hertz is that is going to be on. So we turn that on, and then I'm going to go to record. And this is what it sounds like on the Shure MV7 Plus with the fan at the exact same speed, but I just upped the actual hertz. So you won't, I guess, hear it. Like, again, if you have like the AC on or something like this. So I'm going to spin the actual mic. That's what that sounds like. And then here's what it sounds like on the phone again. Okay, cool. I'm about to just go on my actual phone here and just kind of do it on the notes option. And I want to see if it will actually save these presets on here. So I'm going to put on the reverb. So hopefully it's going to save. So we're going to come in and we're going to turn the reverb on. So here's what this is going to actually sound like on the iPhone 15, because I do have an iPhone 16 right here, which I'm recording into. It's just not hooked up to, you know, something that you could actually hear me from. So I'm just going to stop this now and I'm going to swap it over. All right, so we are on my iPhone 16 now, and I could actually hear it through here, as in it still has that the echo option. So I'm going to voice. So I'm just going to use something that is already on your phone if you have like an iPhone or something. So we're just going to speak into here and see what options we have. And as you can see, you know, I am on that. I will have to blur out my address, which is crazy. I'm going to hop over to the Rode option. But as you can hear, I could hear in my headphones here, it still has the echo option. So it did save internal into the actual mic. So I am on my phone now. And if you guys look right here, see what we got. We have this going into USB-C. So a quick thing here, guys, it does save to the actual mic if you do certain things, because I have the actual echo, the reverb on. So let me turn that off real quick. Okay, cool. So you should hear now, like it should be perfect, right? And guys, it is cooking outside. I'm actually about to go up in the shade. So if you are outside and you do want to use this for something, you're going to speak to people, if you know them, because, you know, they'd be like, oh, I don't like the stuff you're saying. I don't know, something about Trump or whoever, you know, all the stuff, guys. I do not get into politics for that reason. So actually right now I'm going to walk by a car that is on right now. It's a van. So as you can kind of hear that, I think, I don't know, but here's how it sounds like outside if you wanted to take something like this outside and, you know, just sit with people to, you know, like, hey, how's it going? Here's what you got. And all from your USB-C connection, as in to a phone, which is pretty cool. So let's hop back to the video. So now we're going to hop over to the computer and we are going to see how this actually works with OBS, as well as if you're on a call on the computer. So let's jump into it. Here is a quick test right here. So I'm recording on OBS right here, as well as on the actual thing. I will wonder if you could switch the settings right here as you are recording on your actual computer. No, you cannot. So here's what it sounds like on this option right here. And then here is what it sounds like on OBS. Is there a difference? Right now, we are on the computer. We are in their actual app, the Shure Motive Mix app. And I have OBS screen recording as well, and with the audio as well, because you cannot stop this and be like, okay, cool, this is too loud, you know, all that extra stuff. It will it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to let you. You have to actually stop what you are doing on here, like right here, and then you have to redo it. So you can't do stuff in real time. Here is how it sounds like on the actual computer, right? So I'm just going to turn all these off, and then I'm going to go over what I guess you should have on, right? So auto, I'm going to turn off as well, so we can kind of hear it. And I believe on my phone, I was at plus 18. So let's just kind of hear what that actually sounds like. Here is what it sounds like with the auto on, right? Because if I go too loud, it's going to pull that down. And then if you speak too low, you know, it's going to go up and all that kind of stuff. So the tone and all that stuff, it all depends on you. So here's what it sounds like dark. And then I'm just going to talk, and then I'm just going to scroll this over as I go, as I speak a consistent, you know, tone and all this kind of stuff. Bright, bright, bright. So I would say do this before you have all this stuff set up. So let's actually keep it right about here. All this is look, yeah, echo, right? It's an echo. Cool. Echo, echo. So like if you're going to be speaking, actually, let me turn these on so you can kind of hear these. Studio, plate, right? And then your hall option. It all depends on what you actually want. I'm going to turn these off. Okay, cool. And the real-time denoiser. So let's turn these off right now. And the denoiser. So if you have on a fan. Okay, cool. The fan is now on, and we have this option, it is off. So let's turn it on real quick, and then as we speak, you should have heard something, and then let's turn it back off. Okay, cool. And here is how it sounds like on the actual phone. So it is pretty loud, I'm not gonna lie. And then let's go with the popper stopper. So let's come over here. Here's with the pop filter off. So from speaking, pop, pop, pop. So if you do have a speech problem with me, all these S's and these P's. So let's turn this on with all these S's and the P's, with all the S's and the P's, with all the S's and the P's. So now with this high pass filter. So like, again, if you have like an AC up top or something like that, I have it off right now. So we're going to jump up to 75 hertz. This is what it's going to sound like, and 150 hertz. And again, I have the AC on. So let's actually turn this high pass filter off right now. Let's turn off the denoiser, and now we're going to turn the high pass filter on. So 75 hertz. Let's turn it back off. Now we're going to jump to 150 hertz. Hear how that sounds. Okay, cool. Cool. And yeah, guys, again, this right here is version 1.6.1.10. That's crazy. So yeah, you have your options there. And then the LEDs right here on the actual mic here. You can kind of go in. You could have this change, you know, all this extra stuff. If you don't want this light on, actually, I'm going to do that real quick. So here is how it's going to actually look right here. So if you guys look over here, we're going to go to live right here. So if you're speaking, here is how it's going to actually look. And I'm actually going to do a high brightness so you can actually see it. That is crazy. Yo. And again, right here is an iPhone 16 is what I'm recording on. So yeah, let's just go to high. And then you have your theme here. So you can go to Seaside, Custom. Let's just do default. See what that, so it's green, which is kind of cool, right? And then let's go over to pulsing. So it's just kind of going to go in and out and all that stuff. And then you can go to solid as well, which is, I would say, pretty cool, I guess. But personally, for me, I just have that off depending what you're doing. Here we are in StreamYard, and I right now have OBS on, as in it's going to get all of what I am going to hear. And then in a bit, I'm going to actually record on StreamYard so you can kind of hear what it's going to come from this. But right now, again, I have the Shure MV7 Plus going in via USB-C, but I don't have like the option for USB-C on my computer. It is USB-A. So I have the USB-C to USB-A going into my computer, and I have on the iPhone 16 Plus right here, and it is acting as my cam, right? I use a certain app. It is called Prism. So, if you have that option, to do this, I would say do that, because I would say it looks pretty crispy. So, if you're on a call or whatever, all this stuff, I use this, and as well as Zoom, right? So let's kind of hear what it's going to sound like on StreamYard. So here is the audio coming from the Shure MV7 Plus through StreamYard. Here is what it sounds like on the OBS, and then here is what it sounds like on StreamYard. So this is what the other person you are speaking to, or if you're trying to explain something on the computer, this is what it's going to sound like. I hope this helps out. Like, subscribe, and I will put these videos up on the screen. It's going to help you a little bit more with your content creation. Have a good day.